were doing photosynthesis, and last class we have done with the light reaction. Okay, we have completed the light reaction. We have seen the locations of light reaction. In light reaction, we have done cyclic, non-cyclic photophosphorylation, and non-cyclic is also known as Z scheme. After that, we have done chemiosmotic hypothesis, right? So that is all with light reaction. And what were the products of light reaction? You oxygen reaction. Now we need to see the dark reaction. Okay, now is my voice lagging for you? Fine. Is my voice or screen lagging, or is it fine? बताओ, वॉइस और स्क्रीन लैग कर रहा है या फिर इज इट फाइन? I hope it is not lagging. I hope it is not lagging. I am completely audible to you, or you are finding any difficulty? Is there any instability in the audio or the video? Or is it fine? Okay, so the product of light reaction was ATP, NADPH, oxygen. Oxygen you got by the splitting of water molecule. NADPH you got by the NADP reductase enzyme. Okay, you have reductase enzyme. And at cytochrome B6F, right? So these are the three things that you got from light reaction. Now we need to see the dark reaction. Okay, see, these are some energy molecules, or the product that you got from light reaction, they will be used in dark reaction. Okay, they will be used in dark reaction. These products will be used reaction. Okay. Chalo, so moving forward with the dark reaction, what will happen in dark reaction? What we need to do? First of all, if we are saying that it is a dark reaction, अगर हम इसको dark reaction बोल रहे हैं, so does that it will only happen in dark? Why we are calling it a dark reaction? Does that mean that it will only happen in dark? क्या ये सिर्फ dark में ही होगा? अगर इसका नाम dark reaction है, तो ये क्या सिर्फ dark में ही होगा? Does that mean? I want answers in the chat box because I have already told you about this. Okay, that why do you call it a dark reaction? Does that mean that this reaction will only happen in dark? Yes or no? Dark reaction, does that mean that it will only happen in dark? Answers, क्या ये सिर्फ dark में ही होगा? Does that mean it will only happen in dark? One question is, does it only happen in dark? क्या ये सिर्फ dark में ही होगा? Does it only happen in dark? क्या वो सिर्फ dark में होगा? दूसरा question, does it require light? क्या इस रिएक्शन को लाइट की जरूरत है? Does it require light? Okay, I want answer for these two questions. Does it, क्या ये सिर्फ डार्क में होगा और क्या इसको लाइट की जरूरत है? Does it only happen in dark? No, it doesn't mean that it will only happen in dark. What does it mean? That it do not require light for this reaction to take place. ठीक है, it does not require light. ठीक है, light इसके लिए मतलब कि एक important condition there is there is not dependent upon the availability of light, right? So it does not like there is no requirement of light. Okay, so that is why we are calling it dark reaction. That does not mean that it will only happen in dark. इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि सिर्फ dark में होगा. If there is light, dark reaction can take place. If there is no light, only one requirement that it require products of light reaction. ठीक है, it require product light reaction. ठीक है, it requires product of light reaction. That it requires product of light reaction. That means till the time you have ATP, you have NADPH, which are the products of light reaction. Okay, till the time you have ATP, you have NADPH, this reaction will take place, and otherwise not. Okay, till the time you have ATP, you have NADPH, this reaction will take place. If all the ATP, all the NADPH is used up, अगर सारा ATP, सारा NADPH use हो जाएगा, this reaction cannot take place. Dark reaction cannot take place. Product of light reaction, ठीक है, but it require product of light reaction भी, ठीक है, that is it. Everybody is clear with it? Whether it requires light or not, what is the need of light? In the week, clear? Please let me know in the chat box. लिखो फटाफट से. Are we clear? Can you people hear me? Am I audible to you? Can you people hear me? Am I audible? Can you? Am I audible? Please let me know in the. Not see your. I think whether it is working or not. Can you people hear me? Yes or no? Am I audible? Can you people hear me? Please write in the chat box. Can you people hear me? Am I audible? Can you people hear me? Please let me know. Yes. Okay. So why you people not giving me answers on the chat box? I want you people to respond because I have already told you this point, right? If you have any doubts, please write in the chat box. Okay? If you people have any doubts, please write in the chat box. Okay. Now moving forward with dark reaction. Okay? Moving forward with dark reaction. Now what will happen in dark reaction? Here there is preparation of glucose. Okay? The product, other than oxygen, ATP, NADP is the final product that we require in photosynthesis, because ultimately in photosynthesis you want to prepare the food, and that food is glucose. So that preparation of glucose will take place in dark reaction. And what will be the location? where this reaction will take place. What will be the location of dark reaction? Everybody, what is the location of dark reaction? Where will it take place? What is the location of dark reaction? Dark reaction का क्या location है? Everybody, what is the location of dark reaction? Where will it take place? Write in the chat box. डार्क रिएक्शन टेक प्लेस, क्लोरोप्लास्ट के अंदर डार्क रिएक्शन कहाँ होगा? व्हाट इज द लोकेशन ऑफ डार्क रिएक्शन? स्ट्रोमा. वेरी गुड. हु हैज गिवन द आंसर? एंजल, EMRS, निचार. यस, करेक्ट. ठीक है, योर डार्क रिएक्शन विल टेक प्लेस इन स्ट्रोमा, राइट? द डार्क रिएक्शन will take place in stroma. ठीक है, so we had a chloroplast. ठीक है, in chloroplast the matrix of chloroplast, that is called stroma. Inside that you have membrane bound so inside the stroma your dark reaction will take place. ठीक है, why? Because enzymes for dark reactions are present there. ठीक है, the enzymes which are required for dark reaction are present here inside the stroma. Where was light reaction taking place? Light reaction कहाँ हो रहा था? Where was light reaction taking place? What was the location of light reaction? Anybody? What was the location of light reaction? Anybody? What was the location of light reaction? Light reaction कहाँ हो रहा था बताओ? Light reaction का क्या location था? Light reaction तभी हमने last class में किया था. ठीक है, we have covered light reaction in last class. What was the location of light reaction? Was it also occurring in stroma? क्या light reaction भी stroma में हो रहा था? What was the location of light reaction? Location. Everybody, what was the location of light reaction? Okay, so this is the location of dark reaction. Now what will happen basically? How your glucose is made? So for glucose you require CO2. Okay, so you will have CO2. Okay, you will have CO2. It will undergo reduction. Okay, there will be reduction of CO2. Okay, there will be reduction of CO2 in presence of ATP. Okay, ATP will be used and it is reduced using NADPH. Okay, it is reduced using NADPH. So basically you have CO2, it reacts with NADPH. Okay, we have CO2, it reacts with NADPH and this NADPH is formed screen visible to you people? Is the screen visible to you? Yes, all right. ठीक है, so what will happen? You have carbon dioxide. ठीक है, we have carbon dioxide. It मतलब कि it reacts with NADPH. ठीक है, NADPH from where we have got NADPH? We have got NADPH from the light reaction. ठीक है, light reaction से मिला using ATPs and there will be formation of glucose. ठीक है, there will be formation of glucose. I have already told you in the starting or in the beginning of the chapter. जो हम chapter begin रहे थे तभी मैंने आपको बताया था that here there is reduction of CO2. ठीक है, your CO2 is getting reduced. In photosynthesis there is reduction of CO2. How reduction? Because you will see that there is decrease in oxidation number or you can say hydrogen atoms are added to it. ठीक है, so you will get glucose and NADP plus will be regenerated. This will again get regenerated. ये दोबारा से क्या हो जाएगा? This will again get regenerated. Finally, you will get glucose, oxygen, ATPs, and what is that? Oxygen, ATPs have already been formed in the previous reaction. Here there is a formation of glucose and this NAD plus is got regenerated. Here you have NADPH, it again converts into NADP plus. Okay, it again converts into NADP plus. This is your dark reaction. Okay, this one is your dark reaction. I hope this is clear to everybody. This is the basic of your dark reaction. Now we will see that how from CO2 a glucose molecule will be formed. Okay, नाउ वी विल सी दैट हाउ फ्रॉम CO2, एक CO2 से ग्लूकोज मॉलिक्यूल कैसे बनेगा वो भी हम देखेंगे. फॉर दैट वी नीड टू स्टडी द केल्विन साइकिल, मेल्विन, the Kelvin cycle or C4 cycle. So basically it is C3 and C4 cycle. ठीक है, in dark reaction you have two cycles, you have C3 cycle and you have C4 cycle. So this formation of glucose, ठीक है, यहाँ पे जो glucose का formation है that we will see in C3 cycle or the C4 cycle, right? यहाँ तक सबको clear है? यहाँ तक किसी को doubt that what is happening here? यहाँ तक किसी को doubt है कि क्या हो रहा है? यहाँ तक सबको clear है? बताओ फटाफट से. यहाँ तक सबको क्लियर है? ऑल राइट, ठीक है. नाउ मूविंग फॉरवर्ड, व्हाट डू वी हैव? चलो, सो नाउ लेट अस सी दैट हु हैज, like see in, if you see C3 cycle, ठीक है, डार्क रिएक्शन के अंदर we will see C3 cycle. In that there are many steps, ठीक है, there are 3 steps. So we need to see that how or who has discovered this reaction, who has discovered these steps. हमें कैसे पता लगा? How do we come to know that what will be formed after each step? ठीक है, how we have come to know that what will be formed after each step, right? So who has discovered it? What was the name of scientist? What was the name of scientist? It was Melvin Kelvin. ठीक है, who has discovered is the name of the scientist is Melvin Kelvin. ठीक है, Melvin Kelvin has studied the photosynthesis. ठीक है, he had studied the photosynthesis on algal plant. ठीक है, he has studied the photosynthesis on algal plant. Algae में इन्होंने स्टडी किया on algal plant. ठीक है, इन्होंने फोटोसिंथेसिस को स्टडी किया था ऑन एल्गल प्लांट. Not visible. I know. Just give me a minute. Just give me a minute. Till the time it is getting on, everybody let me know how many molecules of glucose are formed in photosynthesis. How many molecules of glucose is formed in one photosynthesis? And how many formed in action of photosynthesis? Anybody? I know I am getting it right. So till the time I have just asked you a question, answer in the chat box. अभी ठीक हो जाएगा. Just wait for 5 minutes. Till the time, let me know how many oxygen are formed in what. बताओ. How many molecules are formed? How many molecules of glucose and how many molecules of oxygen are formed in the reaction of photosynthesis? Do you know the complete reaction of photosynthesis? The chemical equation. Do you know the chemical equation of photosynthesis? Chemical equation लिखा है photosynthesis का. In that, how many molecules of oxygen and how many molecules of glucose are formed? Reaction. What before glucose? Anybody in the chat box? You all must have seen the chemical reaction of photosynthesis. वहां से भी ऑन नहीं हो रहा. Can you see the screen now? All right. Okay. So what we were doing, the discovery done by Melvin Kelvin, है ना? So to understand the dark reaction, ठीक है? So ये बार बार बंद हो जाता है. रजत सर. Is it visible now? No. Just give me 5 minutes. It is getting corrected. Chalo, jab tak I'll tell you the story. What happened with the Melvin Kelvin, right? So there was a scientist, Melvin Kelvin. I hope I am audible. Audible to hu na. You people can hear me. Yes, all right. So there was a scientist called Melvin Kelvin. Okay, he wanted to study photosynthesis, right? He wanted to study photosynthesis. What he want to see is, see, we know from CO2 a molecule of glucose will be made, right? From CO2 a molecule of glucose will be made, but we also know that it cannot happen directly. ऐसा तो नहीं है that it will be a one-step reaction. First you have CO2 and then you will get glucose, है ना? One step reaction तो नहीं होगा कि CO2 से directly glucose बन गया. ठीक है, there will be some intermediates, right? कुछ intermediates होते, so he wanted to find that intermediates, right? He wanted to find that intermediates. Now, can you see the screen? Okay. Hello, am I audible? Can you? Hmm. Hello. Hello, am I audible? Can you see the screen? Can you hear me? Am I audible? Okay. Can you people hear me? Am I audible to you? Can you see the screen? Am I audible? आवाज तो जा रही है मेरी कि नहीं जा रही? हैं? Am I audible? Please let me. Am I audible to you? Can you see the screen? If yes, so I'll move forward. Okay. All right. Thank you. Chalo. So I was telling you, what did he do? Okay, he wanted to study the photosynthesis on algal plant, right? So we know that from CO2 you need to form glucose, right? From CO2 you need to form glucose. For the same purpose, we know that it is not a one-step reaction. Okay, it will not happen ki in one step from CO2 you will get glucose. No, there will be variable steps, right? There will be multiple steps. So to find out each product at each step, right? Each step will have a different product. Okay, he wanted to find out now how does it, how many products or how many intermediates, okay? How many intermediates are formed between CO2 and glucose, okay? When you go from CO2 to glucose, उसके बीच में कितने intermediates बनते हैं? He wanted to see that, right? So he started his studied. So he started his study on the algal plants. Okay, then how he has studied, how he has to he came to know about different intermediates. He had done radioactive study. Okay, he used radioactive compound. उन्होंने क्या किया? He used radioactive compound. ठीक है, he used radioactive compound. ठीक है, he used radioactive compound. Now what radioactive compound? He used C14 atom. ठीक है, he used C14 atom. We know generally the atomic mass of carbon is 12, right? We know the atomic mass of carbon is 12, but he has used the carbon with 14 atomic mass. That means it is radioactive, right? So he has used radioactive C14 isotope of carbon. ठीक है, so using this, okay, using this, he came to know about the first product of Kelvin cycle. Okay, he came to know about the first product of Kelvin cycle. What are the other products? मतलब कि he came to know the complete sequence of your Kelvin cycle. ठीक है, उनका पूरा sequence पता चल गया Kelvin cycle का. How? Because the CO2 that he has used on algae, right? Because we know algae will they use that CO2 in making food. Okay, so the CO2 that they have inhaled, the CO2 that has entered into their body, it contained carbon 14 atom. That means which is radioactive. Now from this radioactive carbon, everything which is radioactive carbon, he you know the complete sequence of your Kelvin cycle. What has clear? So he used radioactivity to know our lagging. What is lagging for you? Is my screen lagging or the voice? You people not able to hear me properly? Both. You are not able to hear me properly. Others also. Please let me know. Is it with Angel only or others are also not able to hear me properly? Is it lagging a lot? Please let me know. Is it lagging a lot? Not able to hear what I am saying? अब सही है? अब आ रहा है आवाज? Is it fine now? Or is it still lagging? Is it fine, Angel? It's fine now? All right. So moving forward. Okay, so that is how he came to know about the first product of the Kelvin cycle. Okay, so now dark reaction will take place and the glucose will be made, right? In that complete reaction, using the radioactivity, okay, we came to know the first product of the cycle. Okay, this is called Kelvin cycle, or we also call it C3 cycle. Why? Because the first product of this cycle, is a three carbon compound, which is phosphoglyceric acid, PGA, phosphoglyceric acid. Okay, the first product of the cycle is phosphoglyceric acid. Okay, it is phosphoglyceric acid. And what is the first acceptor of this? First acceptor, or you can call primary acceptor. Okay, the first acceptor means which will accept the CO2. There should be some molecule which will accept CO2 and will form PGA. The first acceptor will be RUBP. The name of the molecule is RUBP, ribulose 1,5 bisphosphate. Ribulose 1,5 bisphosphate. Okay, this is the primary acceptor. It will accept the CO2 and make the third three carbon compound PGA. Now you tell me that this RUBP should contain how many carbon atoms? See what will happen. You have RUBP. Okay, it will accept CO2. Okay, because it is primary acceptor of CO2. Primary acceptor means it will accept the CO2, right? So this is the primary acceptor of CO2. It will accept the CO2 and finally form PGA. Okay, finally form PGA, which is a three carbon compound. So what do you think RUBP contains how many carbon atom? What do you think? RUBP will contain how many carbon atom? सॉरी RUBP के अंदर कितने कार्बन एटम्स होंगे? How many carbon atoms will be there in RUBP molecule? How many carbon atom will be there in कितने कार्बन एटम होंगे? यानी कार्बन एटम्स will be there in RUBP molecule. कितने कार्बन एटम होंगे? See, you are getting a product PGA which contains 3 carbon compound. RUBP will accept one CO2, so one carbon will come from CO2. So how many carbon compound should be there in RUBP? RUBP के अंदर कितने carbon compound होने चाहिए? The primary acceptor, which is RUBP, it will contain how many carbon compound, how many carbon atoms? Sorry, it will contain how many carbon atoms? RUBP में कितने carbon atoms होंगे? Anybody? 2, 3, 4, 5. How many? How many carbon atom will RUBP contain? 5. Very good. ठीक है? RUBP has 5 carbon. So RUBP is a 5 carbon compound. ठीक है? It is a 5 carbon compound. Now see, it contains 5 carbon. 1 carbon is coming from here. But in the product you are getting only a 3 carbon compound. ठीक है? Product में तो 3 carbon compound मिल रहा है. So here you will get 2 molecules of PGA. ठीक है? What you will get? You will get 2 molecules of PGA. Why? Because 5 plus 1 is 6 and you are getting a 3 carbon compound. So you will get 2 molecules of PGA. क्या ये बात सबको समझ में आई? That you will get 2 molecules of PGA. ठीक है? If one CO2 is accepted by RUBP, जब RUBP एक CO2 को accept करेगा, it will make 2 molecules of PGA. क्या ये बात समझ में आई? Everybody, is it clear? क्या ये बात समझ में आई? बोलो, क्लियर है? Yes. Okay. So this is about C3 cycle. So that means in any plant, once the dark reaction starts, okay, RUBP accept the CO2 and finally after the 3 steps, you will get glucose. There will be 3 steps and you will get glucose. But the scientists have observed, okay, scientists have observed that there are some plants, okay, that there are some plants in them, there are some plants, scientists have observed that there are, उन्होंने क्या ऑब्जर्व किया, that there are some plants whose primary, ठीक है, there are some plants whose primary product, ठीक है, उनमें जो प्राइमरी प्रोडक्ट बन रहा है, whose primary product is not 3 carbon molecule. ठीक है, उन्होंने क्या ऑब्जर्व किया, there are some plants whose primary product is not a 3 carbon molecule. That means it is not PGA, it is not, it's a 4 carbon molecule. ठीक है, what was it? It's a 4 carbon. And what molecule? कुछ plants के अंदर the primary product does not contain 3 carbon atom, rather it contains 4 atom. उनके अंदर 4 carbon atom का primary product बनता है. What is the name of that product? Anybody? What is the name of that product? The 4 carbon molecule. What is the name of that molecule with 4 carbon atoms? Correct. That is OAA, oxaloacetic acid. The 4-carbon molecule is oxaloacetic acid. Okay, it is oxaloacetic acid, or you can call it OAA. Okay, the 4-carbon molecule is oxaloacetic acid, which is formed. Okay, so Melvin Kelvin has studied in the plants that the first product will be a 3-carbon molecule, which is PGA. But other scientists, they have observed that there are some plants in which the first fixation product, or the first product in the cycle, is a 4-carbon molecule, which is OAA. So that is known as C4 cycle. Okay, those plants that follow this cycle is called C4 cycle. And what are the example of some plants? You have sugarcane. C4 happens in sugarcane, maize, sorghum, etc. Okay, so these are some plants in which you will observe C4 cycle. Majorly, most of the plants show C3 cycle, but some plants which is present in high temperature areas, okay, which have high direct sunlight, there the plants will observe C4 cycle. Okay, there you will see the C4 cycle. For example, maize, sugarcane, sorghum. Okay, so this is what we have for C4 cycle. Now let us start the C3 cycle. Okay, let us begin with C3 cycle. What will happen in C3 cycle? C3 cycle is also known as C3 cycle is also known as what? और क्या बोलते हैं C3 cycle को? It is also known as, the C3 cycle is also known as Okay, so what is it? Kelvin cycle, correct, because discovered by Melvin Kelvin, right? So it includes 3 steps. Okay, this cycle, it important that you have is the, okay, the first step that you have is carboxylation. After that, there will be reduction. And finally, you will have regeneration. Okay, finally, you will have the CO2 molecule is, what is the primary acceptor of CO2 molecule? RUBP, ribulose bisphosphate. Okay, or ribulose 1,5 bisphosphate. Which is a 5-carbon molecule. It is a 5-carbon molecule. Now, what will happen? This RUBP, it will accept CO2. It will undergo carboxylation. Carboxylation का मतलब क्या है? Addition of CO2. That it will react with CO2 molecules. Okay, addition of CO2 that with ribulose molecule, it will have carboxylation, and you will get your first or primary product, which is phosphoric acid. First product, which is phosphoglyceric acid. Sorry. Or it is also known as 3-phosphoglyceric acid. Okay. So how many molecules of PGA? It is a 3-carbon compound. Okay. It is a 3-carbon compound. How many molecules of PGA you will get? From 1 CO2, how many molecules of PGA you will get? How many molecules of PGA you will get from 1 CO2? Okay. If 1 CO2 is added, how many molecules of PGA you will get? और इन वन साइकिल कितना पीजीए बनता है? एक साइकिल में कितना पीजीए बनेगा? कितना पीजीए का मॉलिक्यूल मिलेगा? I have told you earlier also. Here you have 5 carbon molecule, 1 carbon is coming from here. Total 6 carbon molecule. But the product contains 3 carbon molecule. So that means 2 molecules of PGA. Okay? So in one cycle, there are 2 molecules of PGA formed. Now this is carboxylation. Okay? This step is called carboxylation. This is carboxylation. But which is a thing which is very important. It happens in a presence of enzyme. What is the name of the enzyme? It happens in the presence of enzyme. What is the name of enzyme? ये एक enzyme के presence में होता है. What is the name for that enzyme? उस enzyme का नाम क्या है? What is the name of that enzyme? This reaction takes place in the presence of an enzyme. What is the name of enzyme? I think everybody knows, right? Rubisco. Very good. Okay, this reaction happens in presence of Rubisco. Okay, what is the full form of Rubisco? Let us write in the previous slide. Okay, Rubisco. What is the full form? Ribulose phosphate carboxylase or oxygenase. Carboxylase, oxygenase. That means it can act as carboxylase, okay? It can act as carboxylase and also as oxygenase, okay? It can act as carboxylase as well as oxygenase. Please see here, we have an enzyme, very important enzyme, Rubisco. Okay, we have a very important enzyme, Rubisco. It can either act as carboxylase or it act as oxygenase. What does this mean? It can act as carboxylase as well as oxygenase. What does this mean? That it has a binding site for both. Okay, it has बाइंडिंग साइड. ठीक है, इसके पास बाइंडिंग साइड होता है दोनों के लिए. इट हैज बाइंडिंग साइड फॉर बोथ ऑक्सीजन. किस किस के लिए? फॉर बोथ ऑक्सीजन as well as CO2. It has binding site for both oxygen as well as CO2. If CO2 will be there, then it will act as carboxylase. If there is more oxygen, it depends upon the concentration. ठीक है, it depends upon the concentration. If there is It depends upon the concentration. If there is more CO2, then it is carboxylase. But if there is more oxygen, then it will act as oxygenase. क्या ये बात clear हुई? Am I clear with this? Everybody, ये बात clear हुई सबको? No. Everybody, is it clear that it has a binding site for both the molecules, oxygen as well as CO2? If it binds with oxygen, then it is called oxygenase. If it binds with CO2, it will called carboxylase. Okay, depending upon whose concentration is more. Okay, depending upon in the surroundings whose concentration is more, it will either act as carboxylase or act as oxygenase. For this reaction, for C3 or C4 cycle, we want it to behave as carboxylase. ठीक है, for C3 cycle you want it to behave as carboxylase because if it will bind with oxygen, ठीक है, if it will bind with oxygen, it will lead to a wasteful process. ठीक है, if it will bind to oxygen, it will lead to a wasteful process. What is the name of that wasteful process? What is the name of that wasteful process? If it binds with oxygen, it leads to a wasteful process. What is the name of that wasteful process? Anybody? What is that wasteful process? What happens if it binds with oxygen? अगर ये CO2 की जगह ऑक्सीजन से बाइंड करेगा तो एक wasteful process होता है. What is the name of that wasteful process? Anybody? Yes, that wasteful process, it is known as photorespiration. Very good. ठीक है, that is called photorespiration. ठीक है, so basically we want this rubisco to behave as carboxylase. ठीक है, we want the rubisco to behave as carboxylase. Carboxylase, you will have a normal C3 cycle, but once oxygen के साथ bind करता है और process which we will study later. Okay, now coming back to it, so first there will be carboxylation where your RUBP undergoes carboxylation in presence of CO2 and give you 2 molecules of phosphoglyceric acid in presence of enzyme rubisco. Now what is the second step? This phospho Okay, now this phosphoglyceric acid, it will undergo reduction. Okay, it will undergo reduction. This phosphoglyceric acid, it will undergo reduction. Now, if acid reduces, okay, what you will get after the reduction of an acid? What will we get after the reduction of an acid? If acid reduces, okay, acid agar reduce hota hai, what you will get after the reduction of acid? Acid reduces to give you aldehyde. Okay, acid reduces to give you aldehyde. So here you have phosphoglyceric acid which undergo reduction and you will get PGAL. You will get PGAL, phosphoglyceraldehyde. Okay, this is called phosphoglyceraldehyde. So after reduction from acid, you will get aldehyde. Okay, that is phosphoglyceraldehyde. So here you will get phosphoglyceraldehyde, or you can also call it triose phosphate. Okay, the other name could be triose phosphate. You can also phosphoglyceric acid, it will undergo reduction and you will get process. Okay, in this process, what will happen? For reduction, you will use some energy molecules. Okay, you will use some energy molecules, and what will happen? See, ATP will be used and ADP will be formed, and also NADPH will be used and you will get NADP, NADP plus, NADPH plus H plus. Okay, so NADPH will also be used and you will get NADP plus. But see, there are two molecules. Okay, this is for one molecule. If one molecule is reduced, one ATP will be used and one NADPH will be used. But here are two molecules of PGA. So two ATPs, you will get two ADP, two NADPH, and you will get two NADP plus. So at the second step, which is reduction, okay, the second step, which is reduction, here two ATP molecules and two NADPH molecules are used, and finally you got PGAL. Now, sorry, this PGAL, how many carbon compounds? How many carbon compounds are there in PGAL? So this PGAL also contains 3 carbon molecules. Okay, it also contains your 3 carbon molecules. So here you are getting 2 molecules of PGAL. Again 2 molecules of PGN. Now see what will happen from this, the reduction, you will undergo regeneration. ठीक है, अब क्या होगा? Regeneration होगा RUBP का. Again RUBP will be formed. So here you have regeneration. During regeneration ATP is used, give you ADP. ठीक है, during regeneration ATP will be used and give you ADP. Now see what this is 6 carbon. ठीक है, total अगर आप देखो PGL is a 3 carbon compound, but you have 2 molecules, so you have a 6 carbon compound. But you need to make a 5 carbon molecule. ठीक है, here you have a 6 carbon compound. यहाँ पे आपके पास 6 carbon compound है, but you need to make a 5 carbon molecule. 6 से 5 carbon बनाना है. So 1 carbon will be lost. ठीक है, from here 1 carbon is lost. ठीक है, from here 1 carbon is lost, and that 1 carbon I am writing here, one carbon is lost and this carbon is used in making glucose. This carbon is used in making glucose. The one carbon which is being lost here, ठीक है, यहाँ पे जो एक कार्बन लॉस्ट होता है, that carbon is used in making glucose. So basically what happened? One time this cycle will take place, ठीक है, one time this process will take place, you will get one carbon. For making one glucose molecule, एक glucose बनाने के लिए how many carbon atoms are required? For making one glucose molecule, how many carbon atoms are required? Anybody? For making one glucose molecule, how many carbon atoms are required? 6 carbon atoms, right? For making one glucose molecule, you require 6 atoms. In one cycle, you are getting only one carbon. Okay? I told you now, one carbon is released here, which is used in the formation of glucose. So you need to repeat this cycle 6 times. Okay? So we need to repeat this cycle 6 times. So Kelvin cycle right. So the cycle will be repeated 6 times. Okay? Cycle will be repeated. Cycle will be repeated 6 times to make one glucose molecule. Okay? So to make one glucose molecule, that C3 cycle needs to be repeated 6 times. One time you get one carbon. Second time you get second carbon. So you want 6 carbon atom. Okay? Similarly, you want 6 carbon atom. So this C3 cycle will be repeated 6 times. Okay? This cycle will be repeated 6 times and you will get 6 carbon atom. क्या सबको ये बात समझ में आई? क्या सबको ये बात समझ में आई? Are we clear with this C3 cycle? Are we clear with C3 cycle? Now let us see the expenditure in making glucose. कितना energy लगा? Let us see how much energy is used in making glucose. Expenditure in glucose. Expenditure कितना energy use हुआ? Expenditure in making glucose. Expenditure in making glucose. ठीक है? कितना energy लगा? Glucose expenditure glucose. Making one molecule of glucose, how many CO2s are used? In making one molecule of glucose, glucose का एक molecule बनाने में कितने CO2 use होंगे? How many CO2 molecule will be used in making one molecule of glucose? Correct, 6. ठीक है? Because you will repeat the cycle 6 times, right? You will repeat the cycle 6 times, so 6 CO2 will be used. How many NADPH will be used? One बनाने में कितने NADPH यूज होंगे? How many NADPH is used in making one glucose? 12. How? Because in one cycle you use 2 NADPH. For 6 cycles you require 12 NADPH. What about ATP? What about ATP? How many ATP molecules will be used? How many ATP molecules will be used in making one glucose molecule? 18. How? Because in one cycle we use 3 ATP. So in 6 cycles you will use 18 ATP. Okay? So in 6 cycles you will use 18 ATPs. Yes, correct. I hope we are clear with this expenditure. If somebody asks you for making one glucose molecule, कितना energy लगता है? We use 18 ATPs, we use 12 NADPH, and we require 6 CO2. Because if you remember the reaction, the chemical reaction of photosynthesis, there you write 6 CO2, 12 H2O, C6H12O6 means 1 molecule of glucose, 6 water, 6 oxygen. Correct? Am I correct? ऐसे ही होता है? So everybody, this is the end of C3 cycle. Are we all clear with C3 cycle? Are we all clear with C3 cycle? कुछ है ऐसा जो किसी को नहीं समझ में आया? Is there something that you have not understood about C3 cycle? Everybody, are we clear with C3 cycle? Clear? ठीक है? So first of all, you have carboxylation. That means it is the condensation with CO2. Your RUBP reacts with CO2 in presence of Rubisco enzyme. This is called carboxylation. So basically, okay, here your Rubisco is acting as carboxylase or oxygenase. Rubisco is acting as carboxylase or oxygenase. यहाँ पे Rubisco कैसे act कर रहा है? Is it acting as carboxylase or as oxygenase? किसकी तरह act कर रहा है? Is it acting as carboxylase or oxygenase? How is it acting here? The Rubisco. How is it acting here? यहाँ पे कैसे act कर रहा है? Carboxylase की तरह quieting tomorrow, or do you have a holiday? Both. How both? It can either act as oxygenase or as carboxylase. इस reaction में वो कैसे act कर रहा है? How is it reacting in this reaction? As oxygenase or as carboxygenase? How is it reacting? How is it acting in this reaction? It can either act as carboxylase, या तो carboxylase की तरह act करेगा या oxygenase की तरह, depending upon it is reacting with CO2 or oxygen. कि वो किसके साथ react कर रहा है? Is it reacting with CO2 or is it reacting with oxygen? What do you say? Here, is it reacting with CO2 or it is reacting with oxygen? किसके साथ react कर रहा है? जिसके साथ react करेगा वैसा behave करेगा. Is it reacting with oxygen here or CO2 here? बताओ. And do you have school tomorrow or you have holiday? Do you have your school tomorrow or you have holiday? What is it? Can you hear me? Am I audible? Can you hear me? Can you see it is reacting with CO2 here? Yes. Can you see it is reacting with CO2 here? है ना? किससे react कर रहा है? CO2 से? Yes or no? Can we see reacting with CO2, so it behaves as carboxylase, right? Because it is reacting with CO2, because ये CO2 के साथ react कर रहा है, so it is behaving as carboxylase. अगर oxygen के साथ react करता, so there will be photorespiration. We have not seen photorespiration के साथ react करेगा, there will be photorespiration, which is wasteful process. Here there is no photorespiration because it is binding with CO2, ठीक है? Because वो किसके साथ bind कर रहा है? CO2 के साथ, ठीक है? So that is it for today. We have seen C3 cycle. Now we are left with only cycle and photorespiration. So next class, the chapter will be completed. So I think we'll do biomolecules, or I don't know what chapter you have asked me to do. I think it's biomolecule. है ना? So next class will be the end of the chapter where we'll complete photorespiration and your C4 cycle. Right? So we have done with today. If you have any doubts, please let me know in the chat box. Okay? If you have any doubts, please let me know in the chat box. Otherwise, I'll see you in next class. Take care. Thank you. Good evening, everybody.